Welcome to Doctors Rating Trends. My name is Dr. Jackson Jones, and this is where twin doctors rate the trends of today. We'll apply some science to it and also our personal opinion, which is almost as good as science. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I've been in practice for 10 years, so I get to apply these trends to patients in the real world. And this is my brother, Dr. Jess Jones.
I took the MD to the research and business world where I took a look at the cutting edge technologies and trends for big consulting firms and VC firms that were trying to determine where to place their money. So I've been taking a look at trends for over 10 years now at the highest level, which is the level at which you got to invest.
Today we're working on lip injections. First, we'll start a little bit about lip injections. The whole idea with lip injections originally was to take thin lips and make them look pouty or more voluptuous. And the idea in the beginning seemed like it was to get a little bit closer to people like Penelope Cruz and people who had naturally these big lips and to augment them a little bit. I can tell you from my last trip to LA, that has sort of taken a life of its own and gone way off the deep end. And now the lips are huge, and it seems like how big can we get them? And so we'll start a little bit about what they are injecting into their lips. And several different lip injections were described, and especially as this was starting to take off as a trend, we saw a lot of different things tried, tested, failed miserably in some cases, and what everyone's pretty much settled on is something called hyaluronic acid, which is another thing that we used to inject a lot of into knees. It's a form of collagen, it's a precursor to cartilage, it's natural, it doesn't seem to cause a lot of reactions in the body, and apparently it's also very good for plumping up lips. You'll see a lot of different brand names, but the base material is all the same. So going over the general technique for these injections. If you have thin lips, you have to do a fairly sizable injection. It goes deep to the muscle so you get that full poof, that poutiness that everyone's looking for. And you'll run the entire length of the vermilion. Now the vermilion being the red part of the lips. When you have thick lips and you have lip injection envy, which obviously with anything in the world of plastics, everyone wants to be a part of it, then in order to augment thick lips, you generally just run that vermilion border. So right along the edge of the red and your normal looking skin, they'll inject that whole area and it'll poof everything out and give you that puffer fish look that everyone seems to love and enjoy in Miami and LA. The technique for this injection is all over the map. There's a lot of different cooks in this kitchen right now in terms of who you can go to, everyone from estheticians to surgeons, and some will do several different injections. It's starting to become more common now that they're running just one injection along the length of the lips, and there's something called cannula injections, which basically just have two ports of entry, run the lips from both sides, both the top and the bottom lip, and it's just a couple of sticks, but you're running the entire length of the lips with those cannula injections, and that's starting to become the more popular injection out there. Timing on this, basically, when you used to get your lips injected, you'd have to disappear for a couple of weeks. You'd do it at the beginning of a vacation with the hopes that they'd look more natural by the time you got back to work. Now, with the use of the cannula, and there's a lot less of a reaction, a lot less swelling, it seems that people can get back pretty quickly after a lip injection. They generally last 12 to 18 weeks. Like everything in plastic surgery, they've made sure that you're going to come back and be a repeat customer. And the expression among plastic surgeons when I was going through training was you can never hide a dollar from a plastic surgeon. And that is certainly true with this cosmetic procedure. There used to be a history of granulomas and all kinds of bad reactions with some of the other substances, but like I was saying, now that they've settled on hyaluronic acid, that doesn't seem to be a problem anymore. In terms of the science behind it, There's been extensive Dr. Jones research. This was all conducted in Los Angeles in the time that I spent there. Found that 99% of women in LA are satisfied with transitioning from a solid 9 to a solid 4 with this procedure. I saw pictures of some of the most beautiful women on earth coming in from Romania, coming in from Iowa, coming in from all over the world to get famous in LA. They got caught up in the lip injection bonanza that the plastic surgeons were living through and decided to get theirs injected and completely destroy their face, but they all seem pretty happy with it. So ultimately, that's what matters in the end. 100% of men love the effects when they're asked by women that they are currently dating. You take that same group of men and you ask them outside of the presence of those women, and it gets down to about 2%, almost universally LA Persians. And when asked outside of the presence of women, the findings are very, very consistent. 100% of men, even the 2% that I was talking about earlier, could really care less about lips that would be considered too thin by women out there that say that lips need to be injected. We have other things that we look for in terms of beauty in the face. Lips is absolutely not one of them. This is 100% by women, for women, and completely helping out the car payments of the plastic surgeons. With that, I'll hand this over to my brother.
I will definitely second that Dr. Jones research from my own experience, and go on to just say, let's take a look at this picture right here, and I think that it should just marinate for a little bit. And I believe that this is a woman who thinks that she has the biggest lip injections in the world. But even if you go a tiny fraction of this size, just think about what this is doing to people's faces. And if anyone actually thinks that this looks better, other than your, folks that are caught up in a trend and believe some sort of a weird body dysmorphic religion. But we'll get into that in a second. So the next slide is going over the mild adverse events. Again, you're injecting something that your body recognizes as its own with hyaluronic acid, so you don't have to worry too much about adverse reactions to the substance itself, other than the sort of blunt injection force that you're putting in, and the issues that that may cause. So there's pain and bleeding. There's potential infection that may happen, and local death of tissues just from blunt objects going in and tearing apart tissues in there. And then there's some issues too when you're going in and stimulating all the nerve endings. You can reactivate herpes, and then probably the most importantly is just quite frankly how it looks. And even they say that the best kind of plastic surgery is the kind that where you didn't know that it happened. And there's certain cases, I'm sure, where people can get just little tiny bits of injections that are hard to notice and kind of help smooth out some corners that women are looking for. But more often than not, you're getting the bigger and bigger lips that just look like hell. They feel like hell. They feel like you are making out with Miss Potato Head. And if you get the bad procedure, they can look lopsided. So that's also something that can look like hell. So if we go to the next slide, if you take a look at somebody like Jane Seymour, she's over 70 years old. You take a look at the aging process for her, and she still looks like Jane Seymour at 70 and looks pretty damn good. And her lips, if you take a look at them, if she's had injections, it has been very subtle, and it's the kind of thing that hasn't taken away from her face at all. And so if we were to contrast that, I think it might be kind of important to do a little quiz and see what kind of a transformation might look like if people maybe take it a little bit too far. So for the lip filler test, and clearly there's been a little bit more work that's been done here. This is at the age of 64. Can you guess who this person is? We're going to give it just one quick second. And we have two different options as to who this person could be. The first option is on the next slide. Is this Billy the doll at 64. You can see the features are almost identical, maybe a little bit more sunlight on the left. Definitely better vitamin D situation. And then probably on the right just came off of a red eye, but it's pretty close to the features are kind of on par. And then we can go to choice B, which is Madonna. So the question is, was it choice A or choice B? Just going to give you one quick second to figure that out. Certainly, A shares more features with what we're looking at on the left, but the B is not a horror creature from a dystopic reality. At least it wasn't historically. So now tabulate results, and we're going to go to the next slide. And it turns out that this was, drumroll, Madonna. And we're pretty sure about that. The internet's a strange place. I think that it is Madonna that we're looking at on the left, who's kind of reemerged, but it could just be, some sort of magic like we saw in the movie The Ring, or it could just be awful plastic surgery, including massive lips, which just completely destroy the face and turn it into a completely different person, which happens sadly more often than not, especially when you go down to Miami, go out to LA and some of these places. And God, I wish there's just some way to tell women that no one likes how that looks. No one likes it. Your surgeon will tell you that you look great, but they probably should lose their licenses if they're going down that road because it looks like hell. Jackson, you want to take it from there?
I 100% agree. I have yet to meet someone who thought that it was an improvement. There are beautiful women with thin lips. It's all about the shape, but this thing where you decide to go look like you're one of the cast of The Little Mermaid, it's one of the little grouper fish, or hey, let's go look like Billy the Doll or something along those lines, and somehow that's prettier. This is generated 100% with women. I have yet to meet a single man, not one, who thinks this is a good idea.
Yeah.
It's just universally hated by men, and more important than that, I've seen women go too big on a breast augment, and it doesn't really destroy their features. On some level, you can say, hey, that might have been a little bit too big, but still a beautiful woman. I've seen people do things too much, and it has a moderate effect. This destroys faces. This literally will take an absolutely gorgeous woman and turn her into a freak. And you see that all the time, everywhere in LA. And this is not an isolated opinion. This is all of us men are shaking our heads, wondering when this is going to stop.
Yeah. You see these perfect tens coming out of Eastern Europe. And the second they have $2 to put together, they go out and just go full Hindenburg on the lips. And God forbid you kiss one too, because it's horrifying. You go in and you're just like, oh, did that just happen? Like, what the hell is that? You almost want to, call, it asks them if they're okay. It's really,
Let's
it's
put a
horrifying.
little put a little science behind this. You know, they're called DSLs, um, and the problem is they lose their muscle tone. Now, you blow these things up with enough collagen, and you can feel it when you kiss them. That there's no muscle tone anymore. It's like you're kissing a pillow. Um, the lips lose their personality. You lose a lot of the tactile feedback. You lose a lot of sort of any sort of individuality of the kiss. It's like it's you're just kissing cushions. You have no muscle tone. So it is the opposite of DSLs. It's the opposite of making it better when you kiss someone. It truly, it's like you're kissing a freak, a clown.
So with that, let's take it to the scorecard. And I mean, this is one of those where, from a common sense standpoint, um, the if you inject something in your lips, they get bigger. From an evidence standpoint, it's self-evident. And would I do it? No. Would I encourage any woman on earth, anywhere, ever to do it? That's a hell goddamn no.
Never seen a case. Not in my 29 years of existence have I ever seen a single person that I would think that this made better.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm 29 too.
Ah,
Anyway, with that, thank
we
you
all
very
got
much.
something from LA.
Right?
Yeah.
And thanks for taking the time, and see you guys next time.